All right, we're official. It's official. Loaded.
Okay.
Chat, we're back.
Yep.
New location. Snowed out at their other one. Adam Stone.
Josh Burnett.
And we might have Finn joining us here. He's a cat. See how it goes. He's got to stop scratching the wall. Yep, let's crack it open. We got a lot to get through today.
We might lose our audio. Finn might eat the cord.
He might eat the cord. I don't know. Yeah, we're talking about you. We'll see how it goes. Let's start off because it's been 10 days since we've last met. Last week, the big trade. I should start with it, right?
Yeah, I would say that makes
probably.
sense. Yeah.
Carolina trades for the number 1 pick, giving the Bears 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and DJ Moore.
And like a third, I think, the next year. Like 2025 third round pick.
That's a lot.
More than I would have given him, I think.
I mean,
but I don't really know.
My first reaction, I saw that Carolina traded for it as a Carolina Panther fan. I was like, interesting. Bold move. There's a lot that goes into this. They traded before free agency started, which is something that stressed me out because things have played out as I suspected they would play out. So Carolina gave up more than what the Rams gave up.
Mm-hmm.
They gave up more than pretty much everybody else. 49ers gave up 3 firsts. Carolina gave up 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and DJ Moore.
DJ Moore is where it gets me.
So I would think DJ Moore, who was a first-round pick,
and has played up to his standard as so.
Right? I mean, he had 3 straight years over 1,200 yards with Taylor Heineke, Kyle Allen, the ghost of Cam Newton, Sam Darnold, Teddy Bridgewater. Like the man is produced with not a whole lot to work with.
Yeah.
So my original thought was I was sad because I was like, wow, that was a lot to give up. But there was a lot more that went into it. The draft of the big 4 QBs, right? That's what we've kind of decided. This is what Carolina was sitting at 9. We know the Colts and the Texans were going to grab one. Then we didn't know what else everybody else was kind of. We knew Carolina needed one. Atlanta, maybe. They used a high second on Ritter, so it was like, maybe.
See what happens. Who knows?
See what happens. Seattle, who knows? But then this is where I don't understand. There's a lot of things that go into this. So now Carolina has Terrace Marshall Jr., Chenault Jr., Shi Smith, Ian Thomas is their top receiving threats.
Oh, there's another cat.
Well, another cat has entered the fray. I don't
know.
Apparently they're meeting with Adam Thielen tomorrow, but it doesn't matter at this point because you traded all of that away to get your guy. There's talk that might be the most horrific noise I've ever heard in my life. There's talk that Carolina might trade back.
Which kind of wild to me. Honestly.
That would be such a wild move. I don't know how to accept that, to be honest.
No.
But at the end of the day, I'll start from the Bears side. So the Bears are going all in on Justin Fields.
I mean,
you kind of had to.
Giving him DJ Moore really helps, though. Because now he's actually got a legit receiver.
Because now all of a sudden you've got DJ Moore, you've got Chase Claypool, you've got Mooney, Cole Kmet, and a lot of money to spend, which we'll get into them spending money because I think they've been doing some wonderful things.
As much as I hate to see it.
Right. So Carolina, all reports are CJ Stroud, right? With late reports, maybe Richardson, maybe Bryce Young.
Stroud makes the most sense for me for that team, honestly.
Yeah. And it's just, I just don't know. It's like they blew up the team. They rebuilt. They had a retool for 5 years, didn't work, so now they're blowing the team up. I don't know. I just what they gave up. What running backs they gave up?
What running backs do they even have?
Well, right now, all they got is Chuba Hubbard and Blackshear. Yeah. Because Foreman's a free agent.
Yep.
We'll see where he ends up, but it looks like from what the money that they've given out to free agent running backs, he's not going to be a whole lot. I mean, Jeff Wilson kind of ended the starter in Miami, and he got 2 years, $8 million, so about $4 a year. Jacobs, Barkley, Pollard got 10. I mean, he's not there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Mostert had 2 years, 5.6. He split time with Wilson. So I mean, I assume he is going to be in between that range. Now there's also Kareem Hunt.
Forgot about that.
Jamal Williams, Singletary, Montgomery. Those guys are kind of all in the same boat, right? Like I think.
I'm picking Jamal Williams out of any of them.
Right? Carolina's offensive line is pretty good.
I'm picking Jamal Williams out of any of them.
Yeah, so Carolina blew it up, starting over.
The defense is still going to be good.
It's weird because their defense is it has holes, but it's ready to compete for in the playoffs. Your offensive line, you just re-signed your center to big money. Your offensive line looks good. It's like you have no weapons.
Maybe Andy Dalton can go out there and play wideout, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. They signed Andy Dalton 2 years, $8 million, could go up to 10.
Mm-hmm. Which I think is a great deal.
That's a great deal. We'll talk about Derek. We'll talk about that later because I want to thrash the Raiders and the Saints. We'll get to their turn. But yeah, Carolina, I think they are the losers of this trade. Now they could draft C.J. Stroud, they could draft Richardson, Levis, whoever you want to pick. He can go be a Hall of Famer. Great. Mm-hmm. But it's just, if I tell you, hey, this can of beer is $100, are you going to give me $150 for it? Like, that's what Carolina did.
Yeah,
and
it seemed like it anyways.
Who were they bidding with? The Colts?
I think that's about it.
Right? Like, you're bidding against the Colts, who clearly don't know what they're doing. But
Matt Ryan gets released.
Well, like Houston's sitting there, unless there's somebody they really, really, really want, they're not going to make a move.
But they knew the Bears weren't going to be that team that was going to jump ahead of them for a quarterback, or like that was going to steal a quarterback from them.
So then you're like, okay, well, if you like all four of them, because all the reports are that everybody likes all the four of these guys. I mean,
which is kind of wild.
So then this is where I have the big problem. So you outbid everybody, you pay way more than everybody else has paid in the past. And then minutes into free agency, the Raiders go all in on Jimmy Garoppolo. Now the Raiders are out of the quarterback. So This is why I have a problem with it, because if you had just waited a few days, literally a few days, all of a sudden now you're like, you want one of the big four.
Yeah.
Okay, well now you have less teams to worry about.
Yeah.
And from what we're going to see here in a second, as we're going to get into it farther, I mean, really, who's the only team on the outside who's like doesn't have a guy like the Jets?
Yeah.
And we'll also get into that later. But you kind of everybody kind of locked in. I mean, I think the Falcons took Heineke in a deal that was 2 year, $14 million. I'm sure it's almost exactly the same as what Trubisky signed. There's Finn strutting his stuff. So you sign him as he's going to be our maybe backup, high-end backup, maybe starter if Ritter doesn't play well. Yeah. And you're not going to spend $14 million and a second-round pick and then the eighth pick on a quarterback. I don't know what Carolina was thinking. I don't like their general manager. I've stated that a gazillion times. And I just think this was a panic move.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
He thought, I could tell you because he has got that he always has that grin on his face. Tell me if any of that makes sense. Because like I said, I'm looking at it, and Carolina just overpaid. I don't know if they moved up from 9-1, and they gave up more than when the Rams moved up to 15-1.
Yeah.
They paid more than the 49ers going from 13 to 1. Mm-hmm. And Carolina's like, yes. Not only we're going to pay you more, but we're going to give you a proven 25-year-old wide receiver who is now signed for the next 3-4 years.
On a reasonable contract.
On a very reasonable contract, thanks Christian Kirk. I
don't know.
Again, like I said, this could all work out. Carolina could draft one of these guys. They turn into a superstar. Everybody forgets about this. Mm-hmm. But then now Carolina still needs to find a top weapon, a running back, a tight end, anything else you want to pick.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I don't know. It just because then at that point, honestly, you're looking at the Seahawks would potentially get a quarterback. I think the Seahawks are in a prime position to get a quarterback, and Anthony Richardson or a Will Levis, who are probably going to fall farther than the other two guys, and have Geno mentor him.
Because Geno Smith signed with the Seahawks, 3 years, $75 million. Not a lot of it was guaranteed. It could be worth up to $103 million.
Yeah.
That was a absolutely fantastic deal from the Seahawks.
Absolutely. I think they played that brilliantly throughout everything.
So now, all of a sudden, you're the Seahawks, man. Yeah. I mean, we already said they were sitting pretty as it was. But yeah, bless you. And then, bless you. So, I mean, we're basically looking at now, we know Carolina, Colts, Texans are all taking a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of, so now if you're a team on the outside looking in, the Raiders aren't jumping up. This is what you start doing. You start looking down, hey, these guys aren't going to jump up. These guys aren't going to jump up. And now, if you're Seattle, oh man, Anderson could be there at 5.
Yeah.
You're all of a sudden, you might get the top defensive player in the draft at 5 because teams like Carolina panic.
Yeah.
So, at the end of the day, Carolina needs a quarterback. Was it worth 2 firsts, DJ Moore, 2 seconds? Only if it hits. I mean, I guess you could say that. I guess you could say that about any of them, but now you've paid the premium. Now nobody's paid more value than Carolina has ever paid.
Yeah. If it doesn't work out, it's going to look really bad on what they have developed over there.
And I 3 years ago. Now, I was Carolina's quarterback. Could have got Justin Fields. It took J.C. Horn, who's pretty good. He's really good, but still, you're not trading J.C. Horn from number 1 overall pick.
No.
There's just, the value is just there.
Yeah.
But that was my spiel about it. I don't have anything else to add, but if anything, I loved it for the Bears. I looked at it and I was like, I don't love Justin Fields, but
if he can continue to trend in the direction that he's kind of been moving towards since in the last two years or so, then that could be a hell of a move for him.
And he's got a tremendous trio of wide receivers now.
Mm-hmm.
So good for them.
Yeah,
good
absolutely.
For them. So now we get to go to the free agency carousel. Well, so did we hit Derek Carr last time?
Briefly, if I'm not mistaken.
So let's just talk about Derek Carr just for 3 seconds here. So Derek Carr, we'll talk about the whole New Orleans Saints in general. So the Saints signed Derek Carr. 4 years, $150 million. Can you help me make that make sense?
See, you're not going to like me about this because I happen to like Derek Carr.
Which is totally okay. I'm not going to... Give me your thoughts on the deal first, and then we'll discuss this.
I wouldn't have expected that much money. I wouldn't have. That's more than almost more than what he was asking for.
He was asking for $35 million, allegedly.
And you pretty much just gave it to him. More than that. You gave him 38, 37?
A lot of money.
Yeah.
A lot of money.
And there's no defending what he did last year because he played like shit. Yeah. I love watching him play, but he did not play well last year. There was a lot of years in a row where I can't remember. I think it was 3,000 yards and some odd amount of touchdowns, and it was him and Peyton Manning were the only people to have done it throughout a 8-year stretch, a 10-year stretch, whatever. And nothing for nothing, Derek Carr has played with the league average worst defense in football in his time in Oakland and Vegas. So you can't blame him for all the bad Vegas, all the bad Raiders teams, everything like that, not making the playoffs. Last year you can.
Yeah.
He didn't play well. They went out there, they got his guy, Darren Waller, who, obviously him being hurt was tough.
That was rough, yeah.
Hunter Renfrow, verified number 2.
Yeah.
And Josh Jacobs was the best running back in football.
Yeah.
And he still couldn't even make the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is my thing with Derek Carr. It's great for me as a Panthers fan because I want to see the Saints not do well. Derek Carr is going to go from the Raiders to the Saints, who've got significantly less talent. 32 years.
The defenses.
He's going to be 32. The Saints defense has been really solid for the last 3-4 years.
D'Amico Ryans, or not D'Amico, Demario Davis.
Yeah, they just lost Davenport, which is going to be a huge blow for them.
But they've kept a lot of they've kept their Marcus Lattimores, they've kept their Demario Davis, they've kept their Cam Jordans of the world, and I think that's kind of kept that defense where it has been at a top 10 level.
Because their defense is going to have to be. It's going to have to be good. I know Kamara restructured.
But we still don't really know what he even is. He's not a between the tackles runner. He's a.
You know what's tough is he was a perfect fit for Drew Brees, and now we're not sure what he is.
Yeah.
Right.
And then again, they bring back Michael Thomas on a $10 million 1 year deal, potentially worth up to 15.
Yep.
When's the last time that guy stepped on a football field? Like, I understand. I understand when he was playing, real good. You can't give him that kind of money if he hasn't even been on a football. Like, if he hasn't played 10 games in the last 2 years. I don't think.
He probably's played 10 games, but he's like a shell of what he normally is. Like, you can't.
You gotta stay healthy
on him. You gotta stay healthy. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. But my problem with Derek Carr is, you look at his numbers. You look at Andy Dalton's numbers. I don't know. I think Andy Dalton played better than he did last year. Right?
Yeah. No, that's.
Now Andy Dalton is 35. Derek Carr is going to be 32 when the season starts.
Mm-hmm. He actually played 10 games in the last 2 years.
And 10 on the dot?
Because 2021, he was out for whatever reason. So 2020 and 2022, he has 10 games.
Okay.
10 games and 500 yards.
Okay.
3 touchdowns.
As we were talking here, too.
600 yards. 10 games, 600 yards, 3 touchdowns.
David Montgomery actually is on the Lions now on a 3-year deal.
Oh.
3-year, $18 million deal.
That's a very Jamal Williams-esque running back, so that makes sense. But
interesting.
Yeah, but that's what I'm talking about. 10 games in 2 years that he's actually played. 2021, what that might have been COVID. I don't even know what that would have been. Maybe he was injured. Because I don't remember. Or was it the COVID sit-out year?
Did he sit out? I don't know. Regardless,
that's a lot of money.
Regardless, it's a lot of money. My big things with the Saints were, you knew what you had with Andy Dalton. Wasn't great, but he didn't lose you any games. Like, I thought he played pretty well. Like,
the only game that he really lost him was that one where he threw 3 picks in like 18 seconds.
Yeah, I mean you got that there. Then how's our microphone? But I don't know. How do you? So Andy Dalton signs a 2-year, $10 million with Carolina.
Yeah.
Derek Carr gets a 4-year, $150 million.
If you're Andy Dalton, how are you only getting $10 million? I don't. Just based off of what he did last year with that team that didn't really have much of anything, and
then do you put a lot of stock in Jameis Winston coming back at $8 million
for the Saints? I don't really.
Kind of weird, right?
Yeah, I don't really understand that.
Especially because he could have had a decent shot somewhere else. Like, Derek Carr is going to be the starter. Like, unless the wheels come flying off.
Yeah,
not saying he could have had a shot somewhere else, but, like, I could have saw him going to a 1-year, $8 million on, say, Miami. Like,
I honestly could see him going back to Tampa for 1 year, $8 million. Like,
you know, the 49ers before they went in with Sam Darnold. Like, I know.
Yeah.
I feel like at this point, Jameis has just has to get on the field. But
maybe he doesn't want to.
Whatever. But I just want to touch.
Maybe he doesn't want to. Maybe he wants to sit there, make his money, and go home.
Good for him. But yeah, I just wanted to touch base on just the quarterbacks here real quick. My boy Sam Darnold goes to the 49ers. I mean, he got $4.5 million to be third string. Like, he might get a handful of starts early in the season, but I mean, as soon as Lance or Purdy are ready, like, he's gone.
Well, I think. So I was actually talking about Harry with this earlier today.
Mm-hmm.
I hated the move initially when I saw it. I go, "What are they doing?"
Mm-hmm.
But then the more I sat there and thought about it, Brock's not going to be ready till halfway through the season.
He's
at
6
least.
months, right? Since his surgery, they said 6 months. So, I mean, who knows where that is? So, he had it, what? So, I mean...
January, you're looking July, August before he's even throwing a football.
Yeah, that's probably... I mean, that's preseason.
Yeah.
You know?
But, like, then you still got to get warmed up. You still got to get ramped back up into it. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I would. That's why I tentatively wanted to just say put him at mid-season. Because...
You could make that argument that probably between... If he could start throwing again, say, August-ish... Again, not doctors, but... That was the timeline that they put online and put everywhere. It was, that's the most horrific noise.
But then you see, like, Josh Allen. They also said that he could have came back whenever, and that guy didn't look like he didn't look the same the rest of the year. So, I don't know. That's why I'm tentatively putting...
Because Trey Lance, I know, was out for at least a year, and they said maybe he'll be ready for the start of camp. So.
Yeah. But then when I started thinking about all that, because... Lance, I'm assuming, is who they're expecting to be opening day. God, I keep wanting to say that for his baseball. Week 1 starter.
Yeah.
Obviously. And it's like, why not have somebody who's going to be... And honestly, tell me Sam Darnold wouldn't be a Brock Purdy quarterback in that system and absolutely do the same thing that Brock Purdy did.
I mean, Sam Darnold's decision-making is questionable.
You don't have to make a hard decision when you're with that team.
That's the place for him to go. Kyle Shanahan offense. You're still going to have Debo, Ayuk, Kittle, McCaffrey, Finn scratching the wall. Like you'll have all of that. So like I think it's because you're Sam
That's a
Darnold.
perfect place for him.
You're Sam Darnold. You play the first month of the season. Maybe you go 3-1. You have a decent record, and the following year because he's still pretty young. Like he's still fairly young in the NFL. So. Which is wild because he's been now. This is going to be entering year 6.
Yeah,
I think he's going to be 26 years old.
Yeah, I think so too.
So, but yeah. So then I want to quickly talk about our boys who got rid of Derek Carr. The LV Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders, with Jimmy Garoppolo, 3 years, $67 million. Now.
It's a fucking steal.
I don't understand. I guess
that's a steal.
So you look at Daniel Jones gets 4 years, 160. We can talk about him in a second. You talk about Derek Carr getting 4 years, 150. Like you paid half. You basically paid way less than half for Jimmy Garoppolo.
And what is he? He's like 40 and 40 and 24 as a starter.
Record is unbelievable. He was 16 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. I mean, that's good. Right? Like, that's pretty good. He played pretty well for the 49ers. I don't understand how he gets
shit on so much.
Gets shit on
so much.
And then now,
and all the guy did was win football games.
And they signed Jacoby Myers. They lost. They traded Waller. Hated that trade for them, but I don't know. Maybe there's something going on
Josh
there.
Jacobs did too.
Yeah, Josh Jacobs hated that trade. But, I mean, you got Josh Jacobs, Devontae Adams, you got Jacoby Myers just signed.
Hunter Renfrow.
All of a sudden, the Raiders kind of pretty good, right?
Yeah, but then they've done nothing on the defensive side of the football.
And
and they might have the worst defense in football.
They have a pretty bad defense.
They might have the worst defense.
But maybe that's the thing is like, hey, you know what? Carr, Garoppolo are probably interchangeable.
Yeah.
I would say they're interchangeable.
No, absolutely.
You look at their stats; they're actually pretty similar. Garoppolo wins way more. He gets hurt way more, but he wins way more than Carr.
No, I was telling Harry about that. I said they're just thinking the Raiders are going to go out there, put 40 points up a game, and hope that the defense can give up 34 and they win.
He's got to stay healthy.
Yeah.
And you got to imagine, even before Carolina made the trade, you're going to miss out on the top 3 quarterbacks unless you trade up.
Yeah.
This is your chance to make the playoffs the next 3 years. Mm-hmm. This is it. This is you traded for Devontae Adams. You went all in. Like you kind of because if you put in a Will Levis, whatever in there, Devontae Adams would have been like, okay, so where are you trading?
Yeah.
Like, where am I going now?
Yeah.
So
and I'm sure they were talking to him about that because
I'm sure you have to.
Yeah. They gave him all that money. He's definitely top 5. Arguably top 3, top 2.
Have to. Yeah. You have to. You have to because unless you want Devontae Adams leaving. Like in your window now for the Raiders, is
unless you want to Aaron Rodgers him like sorry.
We're not there
sorry,
yet. We're not there yet. But yeah, for this year, next year is your 2 years for the Raiders. Because if it doesn't work in this year and it doesn't work next year, you got to blow it up. This is their best chance to win now.
Mm-hmm.
Do I think this is the time to go for it? Personally, no, but
the division's real good.
That's the problem is like Mahomes ain't going anywhere. You're like Justin's not going anywhere.
2 tackles just went to Denver.
I mean, Denver just pretty much said, "Hey, what do we have to? How many cans do we have to collect to get every offensive lineman? How many can we play at one time for?" Because I mean, you got to think they're probably going to be better with Russell Wilson
and Sean Payton.
I mean, you kind of. It's easy. I guess it's easy for us to say because we're not in that division and we're not Raiders fans, but. I think I would not have. I think I would have just traded Adam, but whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You went for it, it didn't work. Now you're double downing on Garoppolo instead of Carr. Whatever. The money you're going to save for Garoppolo, you might be able to build around now. So
yeah,
that could be part of it. He's reunited with Daniels, so that's nice because he knows his offense is familiar. He knows what he wants to do. So you're not going to clash like Derek Carr did.
No.
So I thought that was real interesting, and
They need to do something on defense.
23 million. They got
They got to do something with that defense.
I figured I'm just starting here with quarterbacks, and then we'll start talking about some other moves that could pay off big. Because there's obviously the big elephant. Well, there's actually 2 big elephants in the room. Daniel Jones, 4 years, 160. What are we doing, Giants? The only reason you do that is so you can franchise tag Barkley, right?
Yes, but this is also.
I mean, you trade for Waller, which is nice. Because now you actually have 2 decent tight ends now. Because I thought Bellinger played really well last year.
But I'm pretty sure I talked about this with you. Well, they re-signed. Maybe it was Slayton, Shepard, one of those two.
They're Slayton, one of them. Yeah. Shepard.
But I talked about this with you. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
They are in a very difficult spot. Because
they're actually in probably the worst spot I think I've ever seen a team be in a spot for.
Yes. Because the guy looked like shit. All of a sudden, Dayball comes to town. And Danny Dimes gets him to the fucking playoffs.
He looked like shit for 4 years. Well, excuse me. He looked like shit for 3 years. That you're like, you know what? We're not picking up this guy's 5th-year option. Like, come on, prove it to me.
Yeah.
Dayball comes out. And I mean, there was games where he was running the ball 12, 13 times. Like, he was like, hey, you know what? This is how we're going to have to use him to be successful.
Yeah.
No.
And then Barkley, same kind of thing with Barkley. Barkley hadn't been healthy for a season and God knows how long. Comes back, healthy all year. They run the piss out of him. He does real well. Mm-hmm. So then you're looking at it, and you have to pay them if you're the Giants because you're not going to get.
You have to
because you weren't going to get somebody else to come in and be quarterback for that team.
No, my only thing
with the weapons that they have.
My only thing here, but see, this is where it gets wild. I said this to you last year. I'll say it again. Was that not the perfect fit for Lamar Jackson?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. And when you look at the stats. You're telling me you're going to take Daniel Jones over Lamar Jackson? You're funny.
I mean, you're like, God, 4 years, $160 million. Like holy shit. Like, I don't know. I'm just...
How much of that was guaranteed? Wasn't it mostly guaranteed?
I'd have to look it up to see how much was guaranteed because...
I feel like it was a pretty good chunk that was guaranteed. Because I remember he was saying something about wanting that.
I mean...
Which, again, wild to me that you're going to try to proclaim all that after having one good season. Good season. I'm not even saying great. You had a good season.
So, depending on how you look at it, so he got a $36 million signing bonus, which doesn't really matter for this year.
Yep.
$92 million was guaranteed.
Outside of the 36?
No, I believe that is...
Cumulatively?
I believe it was grouped up. Okay. Now, this is really a 3-year deal because year 4, if you cut him, you save, I don't know, $47 million. So they're paying him the first 3 years.
Yeah.
Because his first year, I believe his first year is fully guaranteed $46 million. Then it drops down to 36, then 30, and then the last year's $47.5 million.
Good God.
So basically, this is a 3-year contract. You're all in. Daniel Jones, you're really all in the next 2 years. You could probably start moving some money around and shit like that. But
not who I'd pick.
I just,
I don't get it.
I think, well, we'll talk about him if we can actually talk about him now. But I just really wanted to talk about like the Giants. Love their trade for Darren Waller. They need a receiver. They need one more.
Waller's on the books. I think the next 2 years are like $11 and $12 million on the cap hit.
Peanuts.
And it's like for a top 5 when healthy tight end, I'm doing that all year long. I'm doing that all day long. The last year, it jumps up to $15 million for a cap hit.
And I feel like
give me that. Give me that.
So here's my analogy, and people can accept it or not accept it or take it how you want. So let's say I'm like, you know what, Josh, here's a test for you. It's 10 questions, 50 questions, pick any amount of questions. I'm like, oh, so here's the guy who scored the highest on the test last year. It's the same test, and I hand you his thing. So you're like, okay, well, this is what worked. Teams are like, no, I don't want that. I don't want that. So look at the last like 10 Super Bowl winners. I mean, a lot of it is going to be weird, but I mean, like, you got a premier tight end. You're going places. I mean, Kelsey, Gronk. I mean, he hasn't won it, but Kittle. I mean, look what Kittle's done for San Francisco. Like, it's there. Mm-hmm. Like, it's there. The answers are there. Like, I mean, obviously there's going to be some, like, outliers, but if you have a premier tight end, you are ahead of the game. Like, the other teams have to play catch-up. Patrick Mahomes was like, we don't need Tyreek Hill. I just make sure I got Kelsey.
Yeah.
And everybody was kind of like, what? Like, you're going to trade him? And he's like, no. Because that's where the mismatch is. We saw it in the Super Bowl. We saw it with the 49ers. You have to double-team Kittle because you can't put a safety, you can't put a linebacker. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
And I just don't...
And especially in Kittle's case, because Kittle blocks.
Oh, well,
Kittle's a fantastic
He's a monster. I mean... I know it's not the same, but even like the Vikings, like they traded for Hawkinson. All of a sudden, you're like, oh, wait a second, look at their offense.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get why they traded Darren Waller.
No, that makes no
I think
sense.
it's a huge,
especially like I'm saying, for the cap hit that he is. What are you doing?
I don't know, but that was big. The only other quarterback I want to get to before our big two that we haven't talked about. Mike White's the Miami Dolphins. Mm-hmm. 2 years, $8 million. So I think he's now kind of going to be the highest paid backup quarterback.
Yep.
But boy, I thought that was a bold decision. Love Mike White. The Jets love Mike White. The Jets players love Mike White. The Jets players said, we want Mike White. We don't want Zach Wilson during the season.
How do you not?
So now,
how do you not bring him back on 2 years, $8 million?
Before we get into that, because we can't get into that right now, because we're gonna lose our minds when we talk about that. Man, the first time Tua takes a hit, doesn't look good.
Isn't Teddy still on the books?
No, Teddy's free agent.
Okay,
he's a free agent.
Okay, that makes sense then. All right, I forgot that he was free agent, but you told me Mike White can't handle himself with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill and Mike Gesicki.
Gesicki's a free agent.
We'll see where
he ends up.
That's going to be a big one. But Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, you're telling me that Mike White can't hold his own?
I don't know.
I'd take it.
I think that was a brilliant move by the Dolphins. My only thing is now I don't know where Tua ends up because he picked up his fifth-year option, so you got him for 2 more years now. His fifth year. I mean, at the end of the day, his fifth-year option is like $23 million guaranteed. Mike White, $8 million. So you're like $30 million for 2 quarterbacks really is not bad.
No. And $30 million, the 5th-year option was 23, so technically you're only looking at like 27 for that year.
So that's what I'm saying. So you're in that range. I think Tua might be in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah.
He's been in trouble. I think he's in a lot of trouble now because you have a viable backup.
How?
But also too, like I'm looking at a lot of these teams that really missed out. Like I don't get it. Like I don't understand Like I'm just. What are these teams doing?
No, what I'm gonna say here is, how shitty would the Dolphins look if they didn't pick up that 5th-year option for Tua and they didn't try to give him the benefit of the doubt?
I mean,
how many teams are then gonna go, well, I'm not bringing him in?
I feel like that's.
Would that have been the end of Tua's career if the Dolphins said?
As you were saying that, I thought you were going to say it's like a shot at the NFL. Because you're basically admitting, hey, this guy's scrambled eggs for brains. He's
well, that too.
Damaged goods.
That's what I'm saying.
I didn't really consider that.
Because the Dolphins are still, whether or not they are, which is going to be miraculous.
Yeah.
Which is miraculous to me if they're not. They better still be trying to save their fucking ass.
Well, you have to.
Because they damn near put that. They did that to him.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, they did it to him. The doctors did it to him. Pretty much everybody that wasn't. Everybody that, even his teammates were going, I don't know, like, yeah, is this guy okay? Like, he just fell out. Let me help you up a little bit. Is anybody coming? Or what's going on? But yeah, I thought that was I still
can't get over that. That all happened to him.
Yeah,
and everybody, and then all of a sudden he can't even play in the fucking Pro Bowl. He can't play in a flag football game because his head.
What does that say about him? Like,
he can't play in flag football. Did he not know what city he was going to? Like,
he might not have. He might not have known what city he's going to. I don't know.
I don't know.
I just thought it was wild.
Scary.
I love that deal
it's so scary.
I love the deal for Miami. Like I said, I just don't know. I think there's teams are paying for some of these guys. And oh my God, I don't know. Now,
well, the quarterback market has looked at either you're here or you're way the fuck over here.
Yeah.
That's pretty much.
Well, I feel like teams have pigeonholed themselves into like, okay, so if we have a starter, we got to pay between $30 to $40 million for him. And if it's backup, here's your high-end backup range, here's your low-end backup range, and there's no in the middle where, hey, let me give you a 2-year prove-it deal. I mean, like, if you're like, hey, Adam, you can have Derek Carr at the Saints for 4 years, $150 million, or you could have Mike White 3 years, $30 million. Like, I'm like, oh, give me Mike White because I'm not saying he's a better quarterback or he might be on par, he might be close to Derek Carr. Then now you have $120 million you could spend somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I think that it's like, I don't know where these teams got pigeonholed into it or how, I don't know what happened where you're like, well, this is where we're got to be because.
And everybody's following it.
Right, because at some point you got to be like, okay, Patrick Mahomes at $45 million, you're asking for $50. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, at some point you have to do it. I mean, I know the cap goes up, so it's going to be like, hey, if Mahomes is 45 and you're 3 spots behind him, and now with inflation and the cap, maybe you're 46, 47, but like Mahomes is 45.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones is now 40. Patrick, call your agent.
Yeah.
Like, what do we? But I don't know.
Dak Prescott's damn near 40.
Yes, he is.
He's low 40s. Like, what are you doing?
I don't know. No, we can explode a little bit more. I'll let you pick who you want to go into next, Lamar Jackson or Aaron Rodgers. Where do you want to go? Because
we'll cap it off with the guy up north in Green Bay.
Let's cap it off because it's why not. This has been a never-ending story, right?
Yeah,
This
exactly.
is the never-ending movie. Lamar Jackson. We've touched on all the other quarterback signing. Now, I'm going to lose some minds here.
How much of the Ravens fucked him?
So, fucked him beyond fucked him because there's a lot of context here now because we were texting about it. We talked about it a little bit. Lamar Jackson is a non-exclusive franchise tag. Anybody can sign him. Mm-hmm. You gotta give him 2 firsts to the Ravens. Ravens get 5 days to match. If they match it, you get your 2 firsts back. Okay. So this is convoluted because as soon as this happens, which was a day or 2 before free agency, Washington, Carolina, the Raiders.
We had a little scuffle.
We had a little kiddie fight club. The Falcons were like, we're out. We don't want Lamar Jackson. Like, okay. Saints had to give up 2 other first because like there's some teams that were hindered because they didn't have their first round pick.
Mm-hmm. What happened? What happened where everybody?
Was it earlier today where the report came out where allegedly Adam Schefter tweeted. I think it was Schefter, right?
Yeah, I'll confirm.
I think it was today. Schefter said, "Hey, Lamar Jackson turned down $200 million guaranteed on a $250 million contract. Highest paid quarterback in the league." Lamar Jackson then responds, says, "Hey, get fucked. Hashtag get fucked." That should be Lamar Jackson's new thing.
Yep.
They offered me $330 fully guaranteed.
Yep.
Now, that's half the money he was asking for.
Yeah. 3 years, 133.
So where do we begin here? Because there's a lot of chain of events that is going on because Lamar Jackson, since last offseason, was like, hey, this is what we want to do. I want to get paid.
Yeah.
Ravens didn't pay him. Kyler Murray gets paid. Now all of a sudden, you have to compare them because they're about the same age.
Yeah.
I think Jackson maybe a year older than him. And Lamar Jackson's numbers
through the roof. Honestly,
it's not even close, right? Like not even close.
That guy's won an MVP.
Like you kind of look at it, you're like, he's an MVP. And now I shit on him throughout the year that I said I didn't think he was like the guy, but. What are these teams doing?
How are you not giving him? How are you not matching what you gave Kyler Murray for Lamar Jackson?
Fully guaranteed, right?
Yeah.
Like now.
How are you not at least matching that contract?
I'm aware now that this has got to be a league-wide conspiracy, right? From the owners, like, hey, we're not giving out guaranteed money.
Has to be. But like, I don't know. Like, dude, I don't know. It's absolutely wild to me.
Because, okay. The Jets. I know we still got a lot to get into with the Jets. Lamar Jackson's right there.
Mm-hmm.
The Saints. What do the Saints have to lose? They don't really have a ton of cap space to begin with.
Do they have 2 firsts, though?
Well, no, but so the way it works is you could sign him, you could plan to sign him, but then it's got to be after the draft, and then you get the picks afterwards. So
okay.
So then they'd have to go up to 24 and 25.
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
Is how it works. Now, the Raiders, like, nah. You're going to give Danny Dimes.
I do not understand.
You're going to give Danny Dimes that much money?
I don't get it. Nothing about that makes any sense to me.
Like, I just don't understand because...
Imagine how good the New York Football Giants would be with Lamar freaking Jackson at quarterback.
The Giants?
Lamar Jackson and Darren Waller, mind you.
I mean, you still could have thrown... You could have Barkley, Darren Waller. Like, think about what you could have right now as a Giants fan with Lamar Jackson, but instead you have Danny Duff.
Sterling Shepard, like...
I don't
know. Darius, whatever the hell is... No.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even know. I'm thinking
Darius Slayton.
Yeah.
Sterling Shepard, Darius Slayton. I mean, they re-signed Shepard. Slayton's a free agent.
But
they got Wendell Robinson, who looked really good last year before he got hurt.
Yeah. Hodges.
Saquon Barkley.
Hodges looked good.
I mean, their offensive line pretty good. I mean, they got a hell of a coach.
The closest team you're going to get to the Ravens is the New York Giants.
I'm trying to figure out how to make sense of it. Is where I'm currently at. Like, I'm trying to make sense of this, and I can't.
No.
Washington.
Who's our quarterback?
Sam.
Oh, it's Sam Howell.
Sam Howell.
Yeah.
You know what Washington's done in free agency?
Nothing.
They re-signed their guy that they franchise tagged. Like, cool.
The end there, Payne, right?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Scary Terry's got to be banging his head off of any wall that he can find.
I mean, you've got Scary Terry, you got Curtis Samuel. Like, when they put it together last year, they kind of looked like, holy shit, they got a team.
They had the kid that got shot in the backfield.
Oh, he looked really good. Robinson looked really... And what are these teams doing? The only, like, again, maybe I'm buying into the conspiracy theories, but, like, week 4, week 5, when we started this podcast, Marcus Spears, I bring it up, I think, every week, says, hey, there's a serious problem here. Player Association, they're telling him not to get paid. The owners are telling him not to get paid. And these other guys are getting these monster deals. And a guy who, again, it's like, here's this test. If I gave you 4 tests and you hand one to Daniel Jones, you had one to Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson has better tests all the way through than Daniel Jones. You're like, you know what? I'd rather pay Daniel Jones. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. I don't get it. Like, I don't understand. And you know what? I don't know. I don't know what the solution is. Are they really, I mean, the big thing that they're pushing is that they're scared of Joe Burrow and they're scared of Justin Herbert, and everybody's blaming Cleveland for giving Deshaun Watson all that money. But you can't ruin the whole league for everybody because the Cleveland Browns are morons. Like,
yeah.
That's, that's not how it works.
Like, just Chicago Bears. How do you not trade Justin Fields somewhere? Bring in Lamar Jackson. You've got all the cap space you could ever dream of having. And now you've got Lamar Jackson instead of Justin Fields. And you've got DJ Moore. And you've got, like, are you kidding me?
I mean, I
don't get it.
I'm thinking like Mahomes, Hurts, Burrow, Josh Allen, Herbert, Trevor Lawrence. Who else would you throw in there that you would take over Lamar Jackson?
I don't know if I can.
Currently,
I don't think there's anybody.
Like, I'll take him over Dak.
Oh,
I think
absolutely.
if you give me 2, I'm taking him.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, there's not anybody else that I could think of that would even remotely come close.
I almost think that if you offered the Ravens straight up, I'll trade you Justin Fields for Lamar Jackson, they would have taken that deal.
Yeah.
Who else? So you have him in the 8 to 12 range at the worst, right? Like, that's at the absolute worst. I don't know. Like, for 1 year, maybe.
And honestly,
like, for 1 year, you could probably throw Rodgers in there. You could, you get to the older guys, but I mean, right now he's probably sitting 7, 8, 9, 10 around there. Like, Geno Smith is half the price, but I don't know.
You're telling me you're not going to bring in fans watching the explosiveness of Lamar Jackson every single week, like just.
Well, and I think especially for the NFC. Like, if you're Washington and you get Lamar Jackson, all of a sudden, like, wow, like, Giants aren't looking so good all of a sudden. The Cowboys aren't looking so good all of a sudden. You still got the Eagles to deal with. But who else is there in the NFC that you're doomed of? Like, you're going to start letting all these other teams catch up. But, like, next year, like, the NFC, I feel, is wide open as it ever would be. I mean, because eventually the Eagles are going to have to pay Jalen Hurts, so not this year but next year, and that's you're all of a sudden.
And the Eagles have given up a lot of their defensive players have.
Yeah, and it looks like Slay asked for a trade, he asked for a contract, and they're like, nope. And they're like, okay, look for a trade. I don't know. I wish somebody can make this make sense for me. Because my original thing was, he wants that much money, don't pay him. 5 years, $250, guaranteed $200 million. That seems to be the going rate. That seems to be okay. Yeah, that makes sense. But then, like, Derek Carr, Daniel Jones get all this money, and you're like, wait a second.
Yeah.
Wait a second. You'll pay them, but you won't pay him. Like, I don't get it.
Yeah, no,
like, I don't get it. So I don't know if there's anything else left to add, because it looks like Lamar Jackson ended up a Raven. He has no choice at this point, because who else can get him? Like, nobody else can get him. Like,
and honestly, at this point, I even wonder if he's going to play. Is he going to sit out?
What do you do? Like, you know what?
How much?
See,
you would fuck the Ravens so hard if you just said no. Because then what do they got to go get?
Yeah.
They literally have nobody that's available that would be
New
any
England
sort
Patriots? Where are you guys at?
Yeah. Well, I don't think Bill Belichick wants a running quarterback, but
probably not. But I mean,
yeah,
it's if you want to win now and you have a team. I mean, like, the Patriots got a pretty decent team. I mean, you need some weapons, but you look at some of these teams, like, wow, these guys could probably compete. But
yeah.
I don't know. I don't get it.
I might sit out from Lamar Jackson.
Titans, Tennessee, I think actually would be brilliant. You sign them. Okay, yeah. If the Ravens match it, okay,
yeah.
Cool. You still got Ryan Tannehill. Like,
Yeah.
He's already kind of on the way out anyway, right? Like,
but I'm sitting out if I'm Lamar Jackson. I'm gonna tell them, listen, you go find yourself a quarterback that's gonna do what I did.
I thought about this, but you would need a lot of trust in a lot of things. But how much would you fuck over the Ravens? I'll even throw Tennessee in here. So you sign them, say, all right, Lamar, you do me a favor, I'll do you a favor. I'll give you 2 years, $100 million guaranteed, or 1 year, $60 million guaranteed. All right, Ravens, you're up. What do you do? Because then you have to. What do you franchise them again at the end of the year?
Yeah.
Do you match a 1 year, 2 year deal?
Yeah.
But I mean, also too, at the end of the day, Lamar Jackson would be like, "Hey, fuck you, I'm leaving."
Yeah.
But I don't know, like, because right now, man, he's in no man's land. Detroit's on a team I thought about too. I mean, I know they're probably pretty happy with Jared Goff at this point.
They kind of like Goff for whatever reason,
right? And I mean, I love everything the Lions are doing, but it's I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but it's been very infuriating. And let's probably close the quarterback chapter here. It's time, right? Like, it's kind of has to be.
Yeah.
I'll just let you take this over.
A
lot has changed in the last 10 days.
Yes.
Yeah.
So obviously the Jets are making their bid for Aaron Rodgers. Because, I mean, they've already missed out on Derek Carr. They've missed out on all these guys that would have... I mean, they still got Lamar. Lamar is really the only other quarterback that the Jets could go get that would right now win them games to potentially get them to playoffs and everything like that. Other than that, they got nobody. So if they're...
Zach Wilson.
Yeah, good luck. I think everybody would quit. But... That's the only reason why I could think that they are going in as hard as they are because they're just that confident that they could give a deal to Lamar Jackson that the Ravens won't match. But that's still a lot to ride on. But so the Jets went out to get Hackett. They just signed Allen Lazard. They're going after Randall Cobb. Rodgers has got his wish list over there, and they're checking the boxes. Rodgers hasn't even said whether or not he's playing. And people are making a big deal about that because he still hasn't said it. He doesn't own it to anybody to tell them whether or not he's playing. The Packers have told him get fucked for the last 3 years now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So who has he got? Why does he have any reason to let anybody know February 15th? Yeah, I'm coming back.
So I think that there's a lot of...
And you're telling me Aaron Rodgers doesn't have the audacity to go, no, you're $58 million, go shove it, I retire.
He could.
He's Aaron Rodgers, man. He's Aaron Rodgers.
I think this has been the...
And I hope, if Aaron Rodgers does go, I hope Jordan Love blows up in everybody's faces and Goot the Goots and Matt LaFleur get fucking sent packing. So I cannot wait.
I think so. Your brother, I'm going to use him as a prime example because this is a phenomenal because he texted again to us today. So very clearly the plan was to get rid of Aaron Rodgers, and your brother
3 years ago,
and your brother texted it. It's hard to get rid of a guy who won back-to-back MVPs.
He even admitted that.
Aaron Rodgers admitted that.
No, I'm saying my brother.
Right, your brother admitted that it's hard to get rid of a guy who's won back-to-back MVPs. So you're now, whether you admit it, whether you not admit it, whether you see it, don't see it, it's kind of irrelevant because it's irrelevant to us because we don't make the decisions. But from the outside looking in, everything they have done is to replace Aaron Rodgers.
And I've said it all along. Brian Gutekunst, who worked under Ted Thompson. Ted Thompson had his big moment drafting Aaron Rodgers with Brett Favre still in the building. And, I mean, look what happened to Aaron Rodgers because of it. He wanted that moment. He reached on a guy who very few people thought that he was going in the first round even. And the Packers jumped up to get him.
Yeah.
There's not a single executive in the NFL who believes in Jordan Love unless you're from the Green Bay Packers camp.
Because, I mean, at the end of the day, it was... The big thing was, hey, the Colts might jump up and take this guy, right? Like, that's where it was.
Yeah. Because
so
the Colts had nobody.
Right, so it was like, hey, we got to get ahead of the Colts to make sure we have this. So Aaron Rodgers last Monday allegedly meets with the Jets. Then allegedly they fly out to California. Reported the deal's done. Sauce Gardner says the deal's done. Garrett Wilson says the deal's done. Breece Hall says the deal's done. There's no reporting of it.
Yeah.
But it's also, too, Aaron Rodgers has said over and over, he's like, I have my group of guys that I talk to. Those guys don't matter. Schefter, all those big guys.
And honestly, I'm going to believe him.
And right now, like Schefter said, yeah, it's a done deal. He's on the telephone. He's like, hey, he's on ESPN. He's like, hey, yeah, hang on, we better go to commercial break. We could have some breaking news. Still Packer.
Yep.
Do I think he's going to be a Jet at this point? I think that he has to be, right? Like, at this point, I don't know anymore because this is all, here's my wish list. This is what I want. If you want me to come to the Jets, this is what I want. But now, I also was hinting at this earlier. If you're a franchise, what is Aaron Rodgers saying to you that is making you be like, okay, this is what Aaron Rodgers wants, this is what he gets? Like, what he has to be saying something to the Jets organization. He's got to be saying to the Green Bay's organization, like, hey, if you want to trade me to the Jets, this is what I'm doing. Like, is it a thing where they meet with him and Aaron Rodgers is like, look, I'm 39 years old. Maybe I play more than 1 year. Maybe I don't. I don't know. I can't give you that answer. And the Jets are like, well, what do we have to do to make you say yes right now? Here's my checklist. I want Lazard, Mercedes Lewis, maybe Big Bob Tonyan, Randall Cobb.
No, I don't think Tonyan was on there.
I don't think he was, but regardless,
OBJ was on the list.
OBJ was on there. He was like, this is what I want. If you get these guys, I'll accept a trade to go over there. And Green Bayers are like, okay, yeah, that sounds fair. But then it's like, did they already negotiate the trade? Like, do they know what they're giving up for Aaron Rodgers? Like, there's so much that goes into this where, of course, there's smoke, there's fire. All of a sudden, you see Lazard sign, and you're like, well, hang on a second. Well, if he's signing, maybe we're onto something.
I don't see Cobb. Hi.
Finn?
I don't see Cobb going unless Rodgers is going.
Right. So
there's not many other teams who are going to be calling for Randall Cobb. He's an old receiver.
So what is going on behind the scenes work? Because you basically have locked up.
Lazard was going to go get
his
paycheck from somebody.
Yeah.
Because he hasn't been paid to this point. He got a rightfully deserved contract for the kind of player he is. So I don't think that that's outlandish to say that Lazard going there has anything to do with the checklist. There's
because he had 60 catches for about 800 yards, 6 touchdowns, and he was hurt for a little bit too, if I remember right.
Yeah,
he missed a couple of games.
That was his career year, and I've said it before. I'll say it again. Might be the best blocking receiver in football, and does not care to block 7-8 plays in a row. He's going to do it.
Just for some comparison. Christian Kirk, before he was a free agent, same number of targets as Lazard got this year, 70 catches, 984 yards, 5 touchdowns. Pretty similar.
Yeah.
So you got Lazard. So for everyone who's like, oh man, I can't believe how much they paid, I can't believe they did this, Lazard probably got market value, if not a little bit less.
Yeah.
Using Christian Kirk as a benchmark from 2 years ago. I just wanted to throw that out there because...
Well, MVS goes to the Chiefs.
Yep.
I don't think he had more than 500 yards. And he was 3 years. He was 3 years, $33 million. Guy drops a lot of footballs.
So he had 42 catches, 687 yards was what.
And you're paying that $11 million a year.
So you're paying basically the same amount as you paid Lazard. And also 2 years ago when he signed with the Chiefs, he had 26 catches, 430 yards. Packers. So the Lazard, that's a good deal for the money, and also because like the wide receiver market, from last year to this year is wild.
Yeah. But, so I'm not, like, sure, that might be coincidental.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see it as anything more than a coincidence at this point. Mercedes Lewis is still a big piece because I know him and Mercedes Lewis are real tight.
And I mean, at the same time, too, like, Lewis is, 39?
Yeah. I think he's the same age as
old,
Rodgers, 38,
like,
39.
Yeah.
He might not even want to play football anymore.
Right. So, I mean, he's going to get a vet minimum, maybe a $2 million, maybe $3 million. It's going to be a low amount to sign him.
But then you got OBJ. OBJ who wants $15 to $20 million a year.
You can't in your right mind give him that money.
No.
For the career that he had, like maybe after his first 3 years, maybe, but
and the reason why
look where he's at now. Like he's year 10 now in the league already. Yeah. Like it's gonna sound crazy, but he's been around a long time.
Rodgers wanted him to come to Green Bay when the Rams got him. Mm-hmm. Green Bay said, "Yeah, we'll give you like $400 and maybe a flight to Green Bay."
Yeah.
And
handshake.
Yeah.
Hot dog maybe.
Yeah. The deep fried cheese curd if you want it.
Yep.
And of course the Rams get him because the Rams paid $1.5 million for him.
Yep.
But Odell and Rodgers have always said they wanted to play together, so that's why he's on the list.
Yep.
And I'm gonna give you something here. We don't even know if Rodgers is demanding this. This could all be somebody came up with this on the internet, and now here we are.
Right.
Because Rodgers has not come out and confirmed that this is what he said.
Yeah.
And if Rodgers didn't come out and said it, I don't know if I'm going to be able to believe it. Schefter said he was gone twice already.
Schefter keeps saying, yeah, he's gone. Oh, just kidding, he's not gone. Schefter says he's gone. And I mean, Schefter is kind of, him and Ian Rappaport, right, are like the top two guys.
Ian has never said that he's gone, though.
Ian's never said it, yeah. No, this is wild. No, this is absolutely wild. I don't know. Has there ever been a case like this that I can't think of one?
No. And like I said, I might put my tinfoil hat on.
Put it on.
And say that this list isn't even a real thing that he said.
I mean, it's a weird list. I mean, the only... Now, when the Packers traded for Randall Cobb a couple of years ago to make Aaron Rodgers happy, allegedly, they paid him a lot of money. He had a lot of down years with the Texans.
Injuries.
Which
has always kind of followed him in his career, unfortunately.
You could. Now, at the end of the day, you got to think of the motive behind this. And the thing that I'm having a problem with is so Aaron Rodgers is making these demands, doing this, doing whatever. I can't wait for this to be settled, just so we can find out what the truth is. Because Aaron Rodgers, obviously, to play at the level he is playing at, you have to put in a lot of time. Put in almost 20 years in the NFL. It just seems kind of weird that at the age of 39 he's going to start playing games. I don't see it. I don't...
And you're telling me he's going to go play for a team, learn a new system.
Right.
He's known two systems his entire career.
Right.
You're telling me right now he wants to go learn a new system and play 1 year. I
don't know. That's the thing. That's what you look at it. If you look at it logically, without the darkness retreats and all that other bullshit, whatever you want to call it is, but he has to be he has to be saying something to is he saying to Green Bay, hey, I'm done unless you trade me to the Jets and the Jets make my demands? Is he saying, yeah, what's the deal? Are you trading me? Are you keeping me?
He still hasn't said whether or not he's playing.
Right, which is, you would think, that's the only thing that I have a problem with.
Nobody is even talking about that.
Right, because
they're just talking about the list.
Yeah. But if he was going to retire, shouldn't he have done it to help his teammates or fuck him? I don't know.
It was around this time last year that Rodgers said he was coming back.
Right. I don't know.
And everybody is so shocked that it's taken this long. It took this long last year.
It did.
Why are we surprised?
I don't know. And I don't know. And is this a thing that we're worried about? Because right now I think Green Bay's around $20 million in cap space. They're going to need about 10 for draft picks-ish. Are we mad if he just retires? He's like, yeah, I'm done.
No.
Right, because you're like, hey, he plays great, doesn't want to come back. But do you care that it like screws over Green Bay for this year, or is it kind of the acceptance that hey, we're probably not going to win without him anyway? It's weird, like I don't know.
I think Jordan Love blows up in their face to begin with. So,
I mean, that's really what that's really what it's going to come down to because
Jordan Love is not going to be. He's not winning that division this year. Are you kidding me? The Lions are winning that division.
I mean, the Lions look real good. Vikings need help on defense. Like I think everything went their way to get to what were they, 12-5 or 13, whatever they
13-4, I think.
13-4. So, and honestly too, like the Bears are definitely trending up.
Yeah.
Like you look at all the moves they've made. Like I don't think they've made a bad move.
No.
I mean, they got Nate Davis, the guard. They got 2 awesome linebackers. So
it's the Lions' division to lose, I think.
Right. Well, it's got to be right. I mean, they needed corner help. They got Cameron Sutton.
They went and beat Green Bay twice last year.
They beat Green Bay twice. I like the Lions. I was big on the Lions last year. I mean, I think they had a lot of bad luck.
If Aaron Rodgers comes back, then I could see somewhere the odds being similar.
Yeah.
But without Aaron Rodgers, it's the Lions division.
Because that's the end of the day, too, is like if Aaron Rodgers comes back, or if he doesn't come back, like where's Green Bay gotten better?
They haven't.
Right? Because they don't sign anybody.
No.
It's just kind of like, hey, I hope our draft picks get better, which they might, but I mean, Watson should be better. Dobbs should be better.
I'm not worried about them. I think those two will both be better.
Yeah.
It's the fact of Wade Walker's got to play exceptionally better.
Yeah.
Devontae Wyatt's is going to be on the field a lot. He's got to play exceptionally better.
That's always kind of like what I look at when you get into the season is like check marks. We know probably we're going to get from this guy. Hey, this guy could be around this range, but then it's like all of a sudden you're like, yo, this guy didn't really play last year. Now he's have to be a star this year. This guy was horrible last year. He's got to improve a lot this year. Like you start
not kick himself out of games.
Right. So then all of a sudden you start looking at it and you're like, well, man, do you need a linebacker? Do you need defensive line help? Do you need depth? And then like Stokes missed a lot of the season. What's he going to come back to?
You still got Douglas.
You still got Douglas.
You still got
Douglas. You still got. So I mean, but it's you start looking around.
It's not the back end of the defense. The back end of the defense is going to be what it's going to be.
Yep.
Linebackers could be suspect.
Yeah.
Gary's going to be back again, which will be huge.
That'll be huge.
But you still don't have any interior presence outside of Kenny Clark.
Right, and I mean, how long? I mean, defensive tackles don't last that long.
Kenny Clark just gets double teamed every single game.
Yep.
And the people that are around him don't step up.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because what were they, 8-9 last year? Were they 8-9 last year, Green Bay?
Yeah, I think so.
So you got to figure you got to start making some moves to. Because I don't care unless Jordan Love. I mean, even if he takes a year or two to improve, I mean, so that means you're already kind of throwing the towel in for this year. Like,
I don't think Jordan Love goes 500 next year. Unless
Matt
LaFleur actually runs the ball like he should have last year, there's no way Jordan Love goes 500.
I mean.
So, I don't think Rodgers owes it to anybody. Rodgers hasn't said anything yet. So, I don't know why this is all assuming that Rodgers is already in New York.
I don't know.
Rodgers has the. I mean, obviously, it's confirmed they went to California or whatever, allegedly at this point. Rodgers hasn't even talked about it.
Right, and he's going to be on the Pat McAfee show tomorrow, right? Like, that was kind of a big deal. He's doing it on tomorrow instead of Thursday, whatever day he does it.
He does it Tuesdays.
Tuesdays, yeah.
So, you're going to get your information tomorrow. He did this last year as well. Yeah. He went on the Pat McAfee show, said it on the Pat McAfee show. I'm not surprised that this is all happening
because AJ Hawk was on Tuesday, and he was like, I don't know. He kind of stuck to it. He kind of said a little bit. He goes, I mean, I hoped he came back to Green Bay, but it kind of sounded like he was leaving. But at the end of the day, Pat McAfee pressed him, and he's like, dude, I really don't know what Aaron Rodgers is doing.
I fully believe that AJ does.
So that's one of his boys, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's one of his boys. But, yeah, I don't know.
And if he does know, more power to him. Because if Rodgers is seeing that he's going to get pressed and he's not going to say anything, of course he would be somebody that he would tell.
Right, yeah. Oh, it's going to be so interesting. I just like at this, I think it's just at this point, if you're Green Bay and you trade him, and you don't get back 2 firsts, right?
Yeah.
You got to get back 2 firsts. I saw somewhere that it was offered like a second and a third. And if he re-signs, it might go to a first. And I'm just kind of like, wow, I don't know.
Let me plug that in
Yeah,
quick.
we might have to plug that in real quick.
But I just... It doesn't... None of this is making any sense because he hasn't said anything himself. And...
Right. It's just
You,
so
you,
it's
you
so
always
wild.
know that that's what happens is that you have to hear it from him because everybody else doesn't know what he's doing.
Right, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to run through some other free agent signings while we're closing up the Aaron Rodgers saga, which is hopefully tomorrow. We'll see, maybe, if we get some information.
Timestamp here. Okay.
What do we got?
We're at 111 currently.
111 currently.
I just wanted the timestamp for the
No, it's all
subject
good.
change.
Tight end market has pretty much been bare. Nobody's really signed. Vikings signed a blocking tight end, which I was disgusted by. I texted you about that.
Yep.
Not that he's a bad player, but unless you play jumbo, unless you play 2 tight ends like 30-40% of the time ish, you're average. Like, why are you paying a guy that much money who's only going to be on the field maybe 25-30% of the time? Josh Oliver to the Vikings. Maybe I'm wrong, but it just seems kind of weird where it's like, okay, let's get rid of Adam Thielen. So now all we got is Justin Jefferson. So now we're going to actually put another linebacker in. Or you're going to put another you're going to basically put another tight end in. So now it's going to jam the field. So, I mean, like, you just put a safety over the top of Jefferson now. Not that it's... I don't know. It seems kind of weird that your plan is, hey, let's actually just get slower. But...
Yeah.
Denver Broncos loaded up on their offensive line. Got McGlinchey. Who was their guard that they picked up? Picked a good guard. Ben Powers.
Yes.
So stole him from the Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
So they clearly thought their offensive line was the problem. I'm not saying it wasn't, because
It was atrocious.
Russell was running for his life. I thought that was worth it.
Yep,
The one big thing that I thought Jawan Taylor. I don't know if I can remember a guy coasting off of first-round status more than this guy. Because he was the first-round draft pick with Jacksonville.
Yep.
Left tackle. Like, wow, this guy's not good.
Yeah.
Franchise tagged him because they're like, or I think they franchise tagged him, or he was like,
Yeah,
whatever.
I think so.
And they were like, man, we don't know. So the Chiefs signed him for 4 years, $80 million.
Which is insane.
Now, Taylor on ESPN, Pro Football Focus, was ranked one of the worst tackles at both, across the board. Pass blocking, run blocking. You signed him to a massive deal.
And let go of Orlando Brown.
And Orlando Brown is probably like, what the fuck? Like, dude, I got you to this. We got to the Super Bowl,
Yeah.
the AFC Championship game. You got rid of him.
But now he's in a pickle, too, because there's not a lot of teams that are going to go out there and spend a ton of money on a left tackle.
Where's he end up with the Bears? Like, maybe? I don't know.
I don't even know. He's not going to get the money he was looking for.
No, so it's like, where do you go?
Yeah.
Like, he's going to be an upgrade on almost half the teams, at least, I would say. He's a very good left tackle.
Yeah.
But he's kind of sitting out there. Thought that was kind of weird.
Yep.
Let's see, what other big one? One of the big ones I want to talk about was Chris Limson of the Falcons. 5 years, $105 million.
Yeah, he got paid.
For a guard. Now, that's a lot of fucking money to pay for an offensive lineman that's not a tackle.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's like other teams kind of followed suit, but they didn't.
Yeah.
Like Ben Powers got 4 years, 52.
Just not even close.
I mean, like...
It's not even close to what
Lindstrom was the best guard in the league last year, I think,
Yeah.
both ways. But...
You're going to give him double what a fantastic guard
Ben
got.
Powers was pretty good last year. I mean, I looked him up. He's a very good run blocker. His pass blocking is like okay, but I don't know. Maybe Atlanta's playing chess here, and they're like, hey, this is the new thing. We're going to pay we don't care. We'll pay whatever for guards and pay whatever for tackles. But I don't know. Whatever. But the other big one I want to talk about, Javon Hargrave, the 49ers.
Good Lord.
Wow.
So what, you got Bosa, you got Hargraves. You got
I mean, they still got like Armstead, right?
yeah. I think you still got Armstead, and you've got who's the guy they traded with the Colts for?
They traded Buckner to the Colts. Is that what you're talking about?
No, Buckner went to. Oh no, never mind. They traded to the Colts. Yeah, never mind.
Yeah, but
Armstead, Hargraves, and Bosa. Good luck.
Yeah, like I don't know.
They've got somebody else over there too, I think.
Like I said, I think they got Armstead. Eric Armstead.
There's another big name we're missing though, I think.
Fred Warner, linebacker.
Yep.
Dre Greenlaw, Javin Kinlaw. I mean, looking at their defense, because they lost Ekubum, whatever you want to call it. But that's some stars on defense. I saw that signing and I was like,
this is just embarrassing now.
Like, really? Is that what we're doing here? And it's just, I don't know. I love the Okongwu to the Cleveland Browns. I love that move. He could be big for them. Brandon Graham signed for like peanuts back with the Eagles. That was great.
Yep, but nobody's surprised about that, I don't think.
Yep, I don't think so. But no, it was. But then look, it was big for linebackers. You've got Bobby Okurick, whatever it is, to the Giants. Like, he's been like the Colts' big coverage guy forever.
Yep.
T.J. Edwards. Bills lost Edmonds, both to the Bears.
Yep.
David Long to the Miami Dolphins was huge. Jermaine Pratt went back to the Bengals. Bengals had a rough time. They lost both their starting safeties. Yeah. Jesse Bates made a ton of money. But, yeah, I don't know. This has been a wild start to free agency.
Absolutely.
And I don't know what's going to happen, because tomorrow another chip will fall, probably, right? With Aaron Rodgers. But so far, I don't know. I think the 49ers, Bears are killing it.
Yeah, absolutely. The Bears are looking really good, unfortunately.
Bears, I've looked a lot what the Texans are doing. It's just hard because you look at the Texans roster and they sign a guy and you're like, oh, well, yeah, they didn't have anything.
Yeah.
So it's like every move looks pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, they're overpaying for a few guys, but they kind of have to, because why the hell would you want to go there? But
yeah.
But yeah, I'm trying to think. Let's see. Davenport left the Saints to go to the Vikings.
Which is
Zadarius Smith.
That's kind of scary.
Yeah, Zadarius Smith might get a release. Austin Eckler asked for a trade.
Zadarius Smith played great the first half, and he was nowhere to be seen in the second half. So I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. But still, then you got Davenport and Hunter, who's a monster. So that's still a scary edge.
Oh, and then today we had the other trade we probably should talk about real quick is Stephon Gilmore to the Cowboys for a 5th-round pick.
Yeah. Oh, we didn't even talk about Jalen Ramsey either.
Oh, and I forgot about Jalen Ramsey because it's been so long ago, as weird as that sounds.
I don't understand how 3rd and 5th are going and getting these corners. I don't care about the cap hit. I don't care. They're both...
So
Gilmore's top 10, if not top 5.
After Jalen Ramsey's first game against the Bills last year, he was the best corner, the only corner that was ranked ahead of him, Sauce Gardner.
Yeah.
The Rams give him away. I don't.
Bobby Wagner's a free agent.
Right? Like,
what are you doing?
Levante David from the Buccaneers.
And then there's another edge back.
I love the Cowboys defense now.
Leonard Floyd.
Oh, Leonard Floyd. Listen, I don't know.
Leonard Floyd's gone.
These guys get these money, and like, I hate to say it, but you look at some of these deals and like, I'll use him as an example because I just shit on him. But you signed Josh Oliver, a backup / 3rd string tight end, who is basically a blocker, for 3 years, $21 million. Like, you know, next year if the Vikings aren't good and they're close to the cap, like, oh, that's a guy you're going to cut.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't understand. Like, how do you sit down as like a front office group and be like, hey, we are a blocking tight end away from winning playoffs? Like, it sounds crazy. Like, I know it sounds crazy, but
yeah, I don't.
But then the Vikings, who couldn't stop anything, like Bobby Wagner, I'm sure if he's offered him $7 million, he'll take that deal. Like, a lot of those linebackers don't get paid a whole lot, so especially the older guys, like
Bobby Wagner was still good.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't understand. Like, especially for a team like a Vikings strike me as somebody where, okay, the offense is good enough to win playoff games, the defense isn't. Those are where those guys go.
Yeah.
It just makes sense. And then it's like do the Bears pony up that money? Probably not, because the Bears are a year or two, maybe 3 years away. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I get that, but I don't know. I see this money flying around. I'm like, yep, that guy's getting cut in a couple of years. Yep, that guy's getting cut in a couple of years.
Yeah,
You're like, oh, maybe that guy makes it to the end of the year, but I don't know. I guess it is what it is. So I'm looking just to see if there's anything popped up since we've been talking about it, and then we can move on to your boy Brandon Miller. But do you have anything else for football?
No, I think that's
Yeah, I think the last big one is David Montgomery to the Lions, who he's going to take Jamal Williams' spot. Mm-hmm. But
whoever's going to get Jamal Williams is going to get a hell of a back too. So
Carolina, right?
That's what I'm saying. I think he'd be perfect.
Right?
And he's not going to ask for a ton of money, I don't think.
Right. I mean, they got an offensive line, like stick them back there or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, let's talk about your boy. Is that where we're at? I think that's where we're at. Yeah. Brandon Miller.
He
doesn't get patted down again, right? Like, that's done, right?
I sure hope not.
Are they the betting favorite, too? Are they the betting favorite for the tournament?
Behind Houston. Houston is the only team ranked higher than them.
Okay.
And Brandon Miller is not even being talked about as bringing a gun to a crime scene or bringing a gun to a shooting anymore. He's being talked about as, he might go top 3 in the draft.
He's going to go top 3 in the draft.
But what happened? Like, what NBA organization in their right mind is going to go, yeah, I mean, he might get busted in 6 more months. Yeah, fucking bring him in. Like, what are we doing? Nate Oates is still in Alabama somehow after that whole pat-down situation. Like, the National College Basketball, or whatever. Yeah,
whatever you want to call it. You're flustered. Yeah, I got you, though.
NCAA is making fools of themselves right now.
Yeah.
And honestly, somehow the media is just not bringing it up as much as they should.
Because
this should be headline news every single day. Hey, Brandon Miller's still playing basketball.
Because this is basically done. Like, they're like, okay, yeah, he's good. He's going to play. He's going to play in the tournament. He's going to go in the draft. He's going to be he's going to be the number 2, 3, or 4 pick. Like, he's not going 1 because of the other guy, the big France guy.
Yeah.
But probably going 2.
What are we doing? What have we come to that this is just...
I don't know. I
understand money talks, but this just seems like a lot to me.
Money talks. I don't.
Money talks, fame talks, all that stuff. It all talks. But
this is really bad just because it's not. How do you do this and then you get patted down? Like, you kind of mocked it, joke. NCAA tournament starts Thursday. I mean, he plays 2 or 3 good games. Like, he's solidified 2-3 pick. I don't know, man. I was with you. I was there. I watched the video. I saw the report. I'm going to Google it now to see if there's a Brandon Miller update. But
I don't understand how it just keeps going.
Because he hasn't been charged.
No, but there's the other kid, or maybe the other 2 who were involved in that situation.
Yes.
Are both there's 2 of them. They're both on trial. Correct. I think only one of them was a part of the basketball team.
Correct.
But they're both going on separate trials.
Yep.
Like, do we just... This doesn't happen unless Brandon Miller brings a gun.
And he's getting... I don't want to say he's getting away with it, but...
What are we doing?
At what point do you...
Did the glove not fit?
He must have quit. I don't know.
Like,
I really don't know.
It baffles me that this is still... And it's not him. It's also the other kid that we were talking about as well on the team. But it's like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
How are we still playing basketball?
It's just, there's no...
How is the College of Alabama not been like, no, we are not going to go to games. Like, goodbye. We're done with this. I mean, like, the actual school, the actual fan base, like, how has nobody cared?
At this point, you have...
They have shirts. They have shirts. Look it up.
At this point, Oates is basically put his college career on the line, right? Because if something comes out against Brandon Miller, you got to get rid of him. Like, you
and then
have to.
that's him. That's the athletic director. That's maybe the president. Like,
You've bet it all on this kid that he's going to be innocent. I don't know. Because, like, the NBA, it's about money. They don't care. They don't care. They'll draft. A team will draft them. We've seen that time. Yeah, we've looked at that time and time again. Football, you can't get away with as much anymore unless you're a quarterback. Sad. That's just kind of how it is. But your NBA, if you could be a star player, you can do whatever you want, and that's really, they're letting this kid get away with it. And again, maybe there's nothing to get away from. I don't want to say that we're jumping to conclusions, but at the same time, like,
his name is still being involved.
His name's involved. The text message, from what I gather, it's his gun, right? Like, that's where we're at. Like, I don't know.
Like,
I don't know.
Ja Morant must be watching this and going, I'm so good. Like, this is going to be all done. And
I mean, that's weird too. Like, that is such a weird case. If you want to switch over real quick to Ja Morant,
we'll jump over to
that. Entered the counseling program, I think today, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But so the NBA hasn't officially given him a suspension. This is all through the Grizzlies organization, which, hats off to them. This is what should be happening. What's also going on right now is they're wondering if the gun was brought on a team plane.
Because that's very important.
Yes. If it was brought via team plane, he gets in a lot of trouble with the NBA.
Because I believe it's like a 50 game suspension if you bring a gun on the team plane, right? Like, that was, the NBA put that out, whatever.
The NBA is still not done with their investigation.
Right. Now,
I don't think he's going to be charged criminally or anything like that, which is still wild to me, because if I bring a glove or a gun into a strip club or into a joint,
you're done.
And I'm Instagram living it, guess what? I'm getting charged with something.
Right. And what a weird situation. Ja Morant, new star of the NBA.
But, like, this is where I'm at least going to applaud the Grizzlies, because they're at least doing their They are. No, you can't say anybody else, but the Grizzlies themselves are at least doing their due diligence.
Let's put on the tinfoil hat here for a second, because I have a question for you. So, do you think that, because there's something else I wanted to touch on that we didn't get to touch on last week, where do you think the NBA realizes that it's not good to bust Ja Morant for 50 games? Because you see the Instagram Live, you see he has the gun, you see it on whatever. He didn't bring it on the plane. Like, how did he get it? Where did it come from? Whatever. Are they kind of like, hey, Ja, go away for a little while, come back, don't take the 50? Because, I mean, if he gets suspended for 50 games, it looks horrible for the league, it looks horrible for Nike, it looks horrible for everybody. And not a lot has come out of it, but I always sent it to you. Chael Sonnen from ESPN, former UFC fighter, says that him and LeBron James have the same steroid dealer. Now, they both take the same thing that Lance Armstrong took. They asked him, they were like, well, why has nobody said anything? And he's like, well, how much money would the league lose if their star players get busted? Now, again, it's Chael Sonnen, so because he is who he is, you can't really take anything he says super serious, but at the same time, he does bring up some valid points. He has talked about guys being on steroids, and he hasn't been wrong yet. Not saying this is, I don't want to get into the tinfoil hat, but it's kind of like, is the NBA kind of just saying, hey, Ja Morant, go away for a little bit, go to the counseling
and you're hoping
program.
It doesn't get talked about, and then he just comes back?
We'll launch our investigation, we won't find anything, and you're going to come back okay. Because that's the more this keeps happening, because so he did nothing wrong. Allegedly they didn't bring the gun on the plane.
As of right now.
But he's in a counseling program. Hang on, let me put on the tinfoil hat again.
I don't know if I hate that.
I'm just throwing it out there because the NBA, I don't want to say the NBA has kind of been, the NBA is one of the few. The NBA, okay, this is probably the way I would say it. NFL gets its ratings no matter what. You put whoever you want to put in the Super Bowl, you're getting whatever. Baseball, it's more about the teams, I would say, than it is the players.
You've got your 10 players, and other than that, it's the teams.
Same thing with hockey. basketball is the players. It's a
Yeah.
players' league. Like, it is.
Yeah.
LeBron James could go pick any team you want to pick. He could play for the Charlotte Hornets. Pick a super small market team.
The Detroit Pistons.
The Detroit Pistons. And if they make it if they have a Christmas game, if they have a primetime game on TNT, if they have a primetime game,
they're going to watch because it's LeBron.
You're going to watch because it's LeBron James. Ja Morant is kind of becoming one of those guys where it's like, oh, Ja Morant's on. I mean, ESPN does it all the time. When their star players, they promote that game.
Yeah.
Even if those teams are horrible, hey, come watch Anthony Davis versus Zion Williamson. He might not play. You don't know.
Yeah.
But it's a players' league. It's not a team
That's
league.
fair.
So that was my thought. Because I'm looking at this and I'm like, guy brings a gun. Probably on the team plane. How else did he get it? How else did he get it? Flashing around on Instagram after he beats the crap out of a 17-year-old or whatever it was. The NFL or the NBA kind of looks into it. And they're like, well, the Grizzlies are like, okay, Ja Morant, take a little break. Go to a little counseling. We'll figure this out. And it's just, I don't know. I think when there's smoke, there's fire in this case. And how else did he get the gun on the plane?
Yeah, exactly.
How else did he get the gun?
Yeah.
It was his gun. He probably brought it on the plane.
Yeah.
Go away. That's my thought. That's my thought about it.
I don't hate that.
People could disagree with me. That's great. This is why we do this, so people can disagree. But I just think the NBA is a players' league, and if you have players getting in trouble, the league doesn't want that. It's horrible for the league.
Yeah, that's.
So yeah.
It's understandable. I get it.
Yeah.
It's. But then I go back to the Brandon Miller thing. It's like, what if Ja Morant had turned into a Brandon Miller incident? Then what do we do?
Wow. That is a great question.
Is Ja Morant still playing if he allegedly brought a gun to a crime scene and somebody else shot him? Or shot her?
I mean, yeah, right. I don't know because, one, I hope he wouldn't be that dumb because that is pretty horrible. But
if they're letting it go in college, why would they not let it go in the NBA?
Right? I mean, college kids are protected a little bit more than NBA players, but because they're students, I don't know. It's hard because I'm with you. I don't know how this kid's still playing. I mean, I know it's innocent until proven guilty, but
when they've already showed the text messages and things like that.
That's what makes it difficult.
If you wanted to say he's innocent until proven guilty, don't show that.
Right.
Don't have people saying, "Oh, well, there was communication involved about a gun being brought, and then a gun was brought."
And then you have the pat down. Like, there's just so much that goes into this, man. It's just,
that was horrific.
Yeah. I don't know because it's hard because I'm on the same fence as you, and I'm trying to look at different ways to look at it, but it's hard. It's hard to not look at it because we have some sort of facts that are out.
Yeah.
Because we don't know the whole story, but we know at least enough where he brings the gun or it's his gun somewhere, and then that gun.
Somehow along the way, she gets shot with that gun.
I don't know. I'm trying to, for the sake of the podcast, I'm trying to think of something, but the kid shouldn't be playing.
No.
He shouldn't be playing. I don't know how else to do it, but yeah, I don't know. It is what it is. Do you want to switch quickly? I don't say switch quickly. Do you want to talk about the tournament real quick? The big March Madness?
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, I guess let's talk about not March Madness. We both kind of laughed and chuckled and thought it was funny.
Oh, March
Tar
Sadness.
Heels, who were they in the Final Four last year?
They were in the finals last year. They lost to Kansas.
Get invited to the NIT. I think we're good.
They were AP number 1 this year.
They still have the season, right? Yeah.
Preseason.
Ooh.
They have lost, or they are the first preseason number 1 team to miss the tournament since it expanded to 68 teams.
Wow. I don't know. That was wild.
You went from number 2 on the mountain to didn't even make it.
And then you declined the NIT. You're like, no,
I
we're good.
I love that
move. Like, part of me is like, you would like to see like some of the guys get like the extra games at NIT, but at the same time, like you said, they had the all season to do what they got to do. I don't know. That was wild, but yeah, I don't know if you want to. Who's the teams you like? Who's the teams you don't like?
Well, I just want to say I love Hubert Davis. I can only like. Oh yeah, would you like to come to the NIT? He just doesn't even respond and hangs up the phone. Like, I hope it was like something that ridiculous where like he just.
If it was my brother, I'd be like, "Oh, the NIT, get fucked."
Yeah,
hang up. Yep.
Like something like that.
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah.
Did you? Huh? I didn't hear you. And just hang up. Like.
Yep.
I hope it was something ridiculous like that because so good.
Kansas again's the number one.
Kansas is my favorite this year.
I
see him repeating.
I think out of all the one seeds, like I like Purdue. I don't love Purdue. I like Houston. I don't love Houston.
Houston's been so weird this year. They play real good defense, but I can't think of like that guy to go to in the moment when they need it. Purdue, I actually think. Again, it's going to pain me to say this. Watch out for Duke. Duke's in that South. The bottom left there. I can't remember what part it is. But you got Marquette down there. You got Duke down there. Duke is legit. In the middle of the season, they were bubble team, potentially make it, potentially not. Ran through the ACC. Took everybody and said, took everybody's lunch money.
You and I both liked Miami. And I watched that game. I was like, oh, Duke looks
Took
pretty
them to
good.
the cleaners.
Like, I thought they looked real good, Duke. I was like, oh, boy. Yeah.
They've come a long way since the middle of the season, but I wouldn't be surprised if you see Duke come into the Final Four. I said it earlier today to Harry. I said, watch out. I could see Duke in the Final Four.
Yep. I like Baylor a lot, too.
Baylor's another one of those teams that are real weird, though, because...
What are they? They were the 2-3 seed, I think. They were a 3 seed.
They have the best backcourt in the country. They probably have the best trio of guards in the country.
Yep.
They don't play any defense.
Do you know what
They don't play any defense.
I really hope happens. I really hope Kansas plays Arkansas. Arkansas has got two guys that could be in a top 5 picks. And I want to see... They don't have a whole lot else.
Yeah.
And those guys are going to take a little bit. But I am looking forward to that matchup. Hopefully, because Arkansas is an 8 seed.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I mean, they got Nick Smith and Anthony Black. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes.
Iowa State. Iowa State's actually somebody they beat Kansas Baylor 2 or 3 times.
Iowa State, I feel like, is always one of those teams where they like upset a big seed.
Doesn't
that how it always works? Weren't they the number 15 and beat a 2 seed? Maybe ish.
No, I don't think they ever fell that far.
But Iowa State, yeah, it's like
I'm pretty sure they beat Baylor 2 or 3 times this year. They beat Kansas once. They play real good defense. They're very much a Virginia-esque team. They're not going to blow you away with offense, but guess what? You're going to make every possession count.
I mean, is it wrong to say, like, this is one of the few... I don't want to say one of the few years, but, like, you kind of, like, look around at the teams. Like, you look around the seeds and you're like, okay, they're all pretty good, but there's nobody that, like, stood out like, hey, they're the heavy favorite. Like, maybe Kansas, Alabama, maybe, but...
There was so much top 25 turnover. It was unbelievable. And
it was all over the map. All over the map.
There's a lot of these teams in there, too, that are, like... Pitt was ranked 25, I think, going into the ACC tournament, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Right now, they're a first 4 in bubble game.
Yeah.
At an 11 seed. Like, there's just certain things that are really strange. I'm trying to let me take a quick look here. There was a couple other teams that just seemed awfully strange to me. Why they were being seeded as such way, and it just, I don't know. It was.
And our local boy Syracuse did not make the cut, if anybody's wondering.
Jesus.
Our buddy Jim Boeheim fired.
Yeah.
Did he get fired? Do we want to throw that in here real quick while you're looking it up? Did he get fired? That was weird,
It kind of seems like it.
Kind of seemed like he got fired.
That post-game press conference, Bobby asked me if he was on drugs.
It was weird.
It just, I don't know. I didn't really understand any of it. It was weird. It was whatever you want to call it. just strange. Just overall strange. I think they were like, yeah, get fucked. We've had enough of you.
I was talking to a few people that they seemed to think that Boeheim was upset that McNamara wasn't getting a shot. They switched to Autry, but it was like you listen to that interview and Boeheim kind of was not having it.
Yeah.
Kind of was like, hey, it's not my decision if I want to come back or not. Kind of like, hey, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. So weird. Tennessee is a 4. Tennessee has been a very up and down team. They've either gone in and they'll beat the big dogs, or you don't or they flop and they get blown out by 20. Tennessee's been a really strange team.
Tennessee's one where they're going to have the matchup with Duke round 2.
Yep. Which
most likely they'll have the
good luck.
Good luck.
Kansas State's another one who's kind of come out of nowhere this year. I mean, they were building towards being really good, and they came in and they've given Kansas fits twice.
Yep.
I can't remember if they won or lost any of the games, but they've been giving Kansas a lot of trouble. Real good team. You got UConn. UConn might be my favorite team out of the Big East. They've got some trees down there that know how to play some good ball. They're a very dynamic team. They could do a lot of damage. UCLA, 2 very good guards.
This is probably the most exciting basketball that you will see the next couple weeks here coming.
UCLA's great. See who else really sticks out to me here. Illinois is a 9. They were playing some real good ball again. They were keeping pace with some of these real good teams. Xavier seems a little high to me at a 3. The Big East is pretty much Marquette and UConn, if you ask me. So I don't really know where Xavier falls into that.
Texas solid too.
Yeah, Texas is really good. Again, Miami, we talked about them before.
Yep.
5 seed. They're gonna make a run. That team's a legit team out of the ACC. I don't. There's a lot of good teams. It's gonna be fun to watch.
Yeah, it's, like I said, I don't think there's any super clear cut favorites. I think it's just gonna be one of the better tournaments across the board. My cat's losing his mind, fucking up this bag. Finn. But I don't know. Do you got anything else?
No, I think that about wraps it
up.
Till
next week, right? Yeah. Until next week. Hopefully we got some.
I think we're gonna have some light in the darkness
tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Right. I'm excited. There it is. Finn, you gonna come say goodbye? He's thought about it. Look, to end the podcast, here he comes.
Yep.
This is the new star of the show, in his own mind anyway. Till next time.
Bid you adieu.
Bid you adieu. Goodbye.
And goodbye.
Goodbye.